Alrighty, so we're back at it with week 2 of the JavaScript fundamentals. Today we're going to be talking about code structure. So what that means is pretty much the building blocks of JavaScript. So we're going to be talking about statements and what is a statement, semicolons and when it's appropriate to use them, and also comments and how to comment in your code and some useful hotkeys. So let's get to it, shall we? Alrighty, so hopping back over to our Visual Studio Code editor. Let's just zoom in a little bit here. Alright, first handy hotkey, at least for VS Code, is on a Mac, Command equals to zoom in. On Windows, I believe it would be Control equals, but anyway, we're going to zoom in a little bit there so you can see. And we're just going to check this out. So pretty much the first thing we're going to talk about then is statements, which are syntax, constructs, and commands that perform actions. So we've already seen a statement here. That is going to be this alert. So you can have as many statements in your code as you want, and basically they could be separated with a semicolon. So if we wanted to separate this statement here into two, all we would do is just add that semicolon right at the end. And there we go. Now we have two statements. So that's pretty much what a statement is, easy peasy. And as far as the semicolons, interesting thing with JavaScript is that you don't necessarily need them for your code to function. How JavaScript works is it interprets the line break as an implicit semicolon. So what this is called is an automatic semicolon insertion. And in most cases, a new line implies a semicolon, but that doesn't mean always. So there are cases when a new line does not mean a semicolon. For example, if we were going to do something like this, say 3 plus 1 plus 2, and just finish it right there. So basically, this is going to output 6 because JavaScript does not insert a semicolon here. It's pretty obvious for the editor that a semicolon doesn't belong here. That wouldn't work. It would be wrong, and it would be what you call an incomplete expression. So anyway, most of the time that'll work as intended, and JavaScript won't put a semicolon in there, but there are some times when JavaScript failing to insert a semicolon is a problem. Let's say if we were going to make an alert here and put that semicolon there, and then have another statement here, maybe just some brackets. All right, so disregarding the meaning of brackets and for each just yet, we'll get to them later. But now, pretty much just remember the result of running this code would be hello, and then 1 and 2. Now, if we were to remove the semicolon here, JavaScript would just output hello, and it would stop right there. So the difference compared to the previous code is the omission of just one character. And if your code is a lot bigger and you have errors like this, it's going to be a lot harder to find, pretty much because you're not really sure where JavaScript is using those semicolons and where they're not using those semicolons. But pretty much how JavaScript would read this is like this. So it would pretty much stop here. After there, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, best practice is pretty much just to use a semicolon at the end of every statement, just so that doesn't happen. So anyway, let's undo all of this here. Go way back. Yeah, this is good. So onto comments. So how do you comment in JavaScript? There's a few ways. Pretty much just typing 2 forward slashes starts a comment. So this is what a comment is going to look like. It's going to be, at least in VS Code, it's going to be this kind of green text. Now, if you want to do a multiple line comment, that's pretty simple too. All you would do is / and then asterisk. And as you can see, it turns everything green here until we put in another asterisk and a / like so. And then everything after that won't be commented out, as you can see. So that is for a multiple line comment. Now, one easy peasy way to add comments, say you want to comment out a whole line, is just to use a hotkey. So the hotkey for VS Code to comment out a whole line is going to be Control if you're on Windows, or Command if you're on Mac. I'm on a Mac, so it's going to be Command and / Then it comments out the whole line. Pretty easy. One thing to know is that nested comments are not supported in JavaScript. So, like, you can't have like a multiple line comment and then another comment within it. Pretty much, that's not going to work. But anyway, don't hesitate to comment your code. Makes it a lot easier for other developers to look at it, if that's ever the case, and you know, just easier to read. If you come back to a project after like 6 months, it's going to be completely unrecognizable to you if you didn't comment your code. So, you know, I think that's the most important, one of the most important things to remember as far as code structure. But anyway, that's about all I have for you guys today. And next week, we are going to get into a little bit more, pretty much things like the use of the strict keyword, and doing some debugging in the browser. There's some more basic stuff like that. We're going to keep doing little bite-sized chunks of information with each lesson. So join me next week.